Hi, my name is Ken Opalko, and I'm a former Wesman, as you can tell, Wesman basketball. And I've been asked to share a few memories about the Wesman Classic. Well, back in 1973, when it was called the Golden Boy Classic, I was in grade 10 at Daniel Mack. And I still remember playing at the old Winnipeg Arena. This was before the MTS Center. And I still remember what a great experience that was playing in the place where the Winnipeg Jets played, the Winnipeg Jets of old played, Bobby Hull and Anders Hedberg and Ulf Nielsen and all those guys. And I used to go to many games. That was a little bit later, but so there I was in the Winnipeg Arena playing. And it's so funny, I still remember playing for the third place game against MBCI, Mennonite Brethren Collegiate, where I went on to coach and be the vice principal and athletic director, and I coached basketball there for 34 years. So it's amazing how everything interconnected. From then on, in grade 12, I still remember we started moving over to the convention center. There were so many people that would come to our games. That was probably the most exciting part, was all the family and friends that would come out and support us for the Wesmen Classic. And we always wanted to play the Bisons. At the time, the Wesmen and the Bisons we were always in the top 10 in Canada. And so obviously with the Wesmen and Bisons being in the top 10 every year, we wanted that to be the final. And so the tournament, we had to win our first two games, and we were hoping the Bisons would too, so that we could play them in the end. What was so special about those days were that all the top teams in Canada used to want to come to the Wesmen Classic and play at the Convention Center. It was very good for rankings and things like that. So all the top players in Canada were there. So it was a very exciting time for the fans and also for us as players, because we were playing against the top teams and the top players in the country. Now that I come and watch the Wesmen Classic, it's exciting in that my son played for the Wesmen for 5 years, so I was able to be with the Wesmen for 5 more years with my son playing. And then also when I coached at MBCI for 28 years, my varsity boys basketball teams many times were invited to the Wesmen Classic, and that was always a very special thing. Probably the biggest memories for me are just the sense of community. Basketball people come out to the Wesmen Classic. It's a big deal. School's finished for us players, and so there was less pressure on us, and so we could just concentrate on Christmas and all the festivities with our families. But the second thing was also basketball. So we would go to the convention center a week ahead of the schedule, ahead of the Wesmen Classic, and we would practice there, because it was different shooting in the convention center where the walls were so far away, and so depth perception was a problem. Also, there were some loose boards on the floor as well, and it's amazing how we could direct people into those corners, and they would dribble and the ball wouldn't come back up, and so they'd get a turnover. We just loved that kind of stuff. So it was great home court advantage. Now, when I come back and watch the Wesmen Classic, it's the same thing. Often my wife will say, well, what was the score of that game? Sometimes I can hardly remember the score of the game, because I'm chatting with about 50 people that I know. And that's one of the things that I just love about the Wesmen Classic. The community comes out to watch it. All my friends and all the people that I've coached against or played against in the past, they all come back for the Wesmen Classic. 50 years, wow, that's a long time to have a basketball tournament. And now also to include the junior highs, high schools, girls, it's just awesome how many teams are being exposed to the Wesmen Classic and to basketball, and the media does a good job of promoting it on TV and all that kind of stuff. So now that I'm on the Basketball Hall of Fame committee, these kinds of things really excite me, because we are in the process of wanting to promote basketball, and the Wesmen Classic has absolutely done that for promoting basketball, not just here in our city, in our province, and also in our country. So I'm very proud to say that I'm a former Wesmen player, that my son also, I'm a former Wesmen dad, and also a coach at a high school where we were here many, many times. And so I just want to congratulate the University of Winnipeg for 50 years of the Wesmen Classic, and hope I'm around for a whole bunch more. Thank you.